with the help of our new business development team, we started getting into charter schools.
Okay.
That was an underrepresented area for us specifically, and we found that there was a pretty good need, and we brought a lot to that type of organization.
And that's a huge need, and that's, hopefully why we're here is to see what the charter schools can do to learn more and become a bigger part of it and get you guys across there, especially if you have a product that is high quality and also affordable. Because now I know you guys know the charter schools the funding is tough.
Absolutely.
So that's going to always be the biggest issue with all of the charter schools, especially now that the ESSER money and all that money is gone, and hopefully things were lucrative for you guys and for everybody else when they had that money, but it's gone now.
Yep.
So they're working on a very small budget. We're working on like 58 cents on the dollar comparatively to the RCSD.
Yep.
So
well,
how you could still help or make it work?
Yeah, I guess a good place to start is right as you first walk in, the way that we designed the space was meant to speak to the service that we provide, where design, right? It all comes down to the design, the flow of the space. Right. So we have our designers front and center here at the very beginning when you walk in, and coming soon is going to be a actual screen where you can see the live design that's happening.
Okay.
As they're creating it here. And
so they're creating designs for
specifically for the environment,
spaces.
For depending on the need of the client, they're actually going through and designing that out.
So if someone says, I want my classroom to look a certain way, you guys would do renderings
flow, here. Yeah, we do the whole design and rendering.
Okay.
Stage. It's really just the understanding of what are the needs of the school, what are we looking to accomplish, and then collaborating together to make that happen.
I guess my as a former school leader, so I was a school leader for a long time, about 20, I was a school leader for 17 years, and then I was a teacher for about 5 years, and now I've been doing this for 2. Yeah. And it's about 25 years total, but as a school leader, I'm always thinking like, what is that going to cost me? You know, and just thinking about, like, I always put that first, because if it's affordable and it's the quality, I absolutely want it. But if it's not affordable, even if it's amazing quality, it's like, I can't do it, even if I wanted to.
Right, and that's what we want to learn during this phase, right? What are the budget constraints? What are the things that you're looking to accomplish, and how do we get what you're looking for at affordable price that actually meets the need?
Right.
So that all happens here, and obviously with the sales team's involvement, that's a big piece of trying to understand.
Right, and I think just even off the top of my head, because I think that when I think about that question, if I go back to my budgets, I think as a school leader, before there was any extra money or anything like that, I had a school with 500 kids, right? And then we opened a second school and things like that. But if I had $10,000 to $15,000 a year for school furniture, that was a lot. Right. Right. And, I don't think that gets you much. But that was a lot. That's what I had. I think at max, maybe there was a couple years I had to do some extra things, and I potentially budgeted almost 30 grand, which that was unheard of, because we just didn't have it as charter schools and some of those other things. And then when we furnished our middle school, we looked for donated furniture. We looked for anything we could that was like low cost or no cost. And so those were some of our challenges. So there's always thinking in the confines of that. Now I do know there's this organization called Charter School Capital. One of the things that they do, and so this might even be a good partnership that we can talk about in introductions, they provide costs for operational things and help schools that have needs. So for example, if they needed furniture, they would finance the furniture, and then the school could pay it off over time. Yep,
we do offer financing options as well for customers. And once again, it's really coming down to the need.
A lot of people have this myth that charters aren't public. And it really creates a unfortunate us versus them, which it doesn't need to be like that. Yeah. But we are really public schools. So this looks very user friendly.
Right. The first feel that we wanted is like Kitchen Island, right? So bring people back into their home type of environment, but in the workplace. So
has it shown success?
You're the first person walking it, so this will be
that's cool, man. I appreciate that.
This will be the test really for. We have a large event coming up with the architect and design community, where they're going to be coming in, touring the space, and then kind of using it for you know, kicking the tires, see how we like it.
I could see maybe having a school event here, or having like a school leader event, and then trying to get them.
You're going exactly where my mind was.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're looking for in the future. But over here, kind of another example, we decided to design our meeting rooms in a specific way where you have the traditional, you know, you got the high-end conference room that you see at a board, but then you see something over here that's a little bit more residential feel, right? So we wanted to show there's a way to mix and match both.
Gotcha.
You don't have to go solely one direction or another, which is the same way that we approach most projects. Right.
I love the design and the decoration and you know the flow of everything. It's good.
Appreciate it. So back to here, this space that we have, this is our sales area.
Right.
So we wanted this to be front and center as well, where you have an option to bring customers back here. We have a library that's not complete yet, but once it's up and running, that's where you pick your fabrics, your finishes.
Okay.
And you kind of sit down, have a more collaborative discussion on what the capability is of Intivity for your space. We have demo chairs where we like to preach that you need to sit in a chair before you just buy a chair. So that's why we have these. There's a ton of adjustments where we adjust it so that it fits that person.
So it fits it just right?
Yeah. So
I could see that.
But once again, it'll be this space right over here. This will be like the sandbox area where we're continuously bringing in new products so you could kick it and feel it. So we work kind of one-on-one to understand, you know, it sounds a little strange, but at the same time,
I think it sounds like you guys are doing what it takes to get it done.
Yeah.
You know, and to fill a need.
And I think that's probably the best way to put it. We do what.
No, I gotta ask, what's that thing over there? What's that being built?
This is a new product for us. You see the meeting rooms that we have over here.
Like
these
a pod,
are more,
like a small meeting room?
Yeah, these are more permanent. That's more of a mobile temporary unit. They're constructing it right now, but one of the main barriers to these types of units is fire code.
Okay.
Right? They need sprinkler system in case there's a fire or whatever.
really?
There's actually louvers on the inside of that open up if temperature hits a certain point. And I
really?
believe it's 150
Looks
degrees.
like a small office.
Yeah. So it's just a way where if you don't have space that you want to allocate for something like this, to have more of a permanent structure.
So you could make a bunch of small offices like this inside of, so people still could have their privacy.
You could have it as small as a phone booth or as big as, you know, there's actually bigger versions of that where you can have a whole meeting room in there.
Oh, okay.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but yeah, we have our marketing team, we have our purchasing team and sales team right here. Because back to the example with Kodak,
right?
If there's ever anything that our customer needs, sales knows about it first,
right?
And they work hand in hand with our marketing and purchasing team to find it for them. Another area that we just started getting into, we actually have a break room that's going to be going in over here. Millwork has been a big area of opportunity for us where we haven't had a solution before.
Okay.
But lately, with our manufacturers, we're now being able to provide a solution where you could hook up, you know, plumbing and water to it, and you know, provide the whole solution for a customer.
You guys are doing a lot of different things.
And then back here is really, I'd say, the epicenter of everything that we do. It's all customer service.
Okay.
Customer service and operations. They're the ones that actually get it done.
Okay.
All the promises and whatnot that we commit to, they ensure that we actually make it happen.
Well, you guys have a beautiful facility, and I see the vision, and that's really
a lot came from Fabricio and what he started off doing when he started, just him and my mom in a house basement, and turning it into what it is today.
Wow.
So today we have 3 different locations. We have Rochester, East Rochester, Syracuse, Albany, and then a small sales office in New York City.
Okay. Where's your location in Albany? Just because I lived there for a long time.
It's off of Interstate Road, but it's probably like 5 minutes away from downtown.
Okay.
But yeah.
Everything is 5 minutes away.
Exactly, pretty much.
Small.
All right, so the final space that we have here today is our main conference room. And a lot of thought went into this space and how could we maybe use it a little bit better. not only to house our employees and customers, but also how do we keep training happening? How do we keep the education alive within the organization and consistent learning? So we made this space specifically so that we could maneuver it around and be a little bit more mobile, similar to what happens in schools.
Right.
You need to be able to have multiple areas where you can kind of break off into collaborative sort of
You got things
groups.
going on here, here,
Right.
here, over there.
Yeah.
in front of the
Or
board.
have a training sort of scenario where you can actually this is all mobile, so you can put it in a classroom environment and actually teach.
That's good, and I just actually noticed that because the tables could wheel instead of have to lift them up, and you can move them where you want them.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool for different styles of learning.
Absolutely.
I guess my question is, do you have any thoughts or best ways that we could potentially help or support what you guys are doing, or how could we bridge the relationship so that the charter schools would have access to some of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, that's something that we're absolutely open for. You know, we're just getting into a stage where we're ready to start this continuous learning. You know, we've grown to a point where it just makes sense to work more hand in hand with the school systems that are out there, and not necessarily just learn ourselves, but collaborate on what's working within the space right now with education, and how do we maybe design spaces in a different way where it would actually help not just school systems, but overall education for organizations as a whole.
Right. I think maybe we could think about what would be the best way to get you in front of as many of the school leaders as possible.
Yeah.
And because with the schools, there's 14 different networks and there's 27 different schools. And so there's about 8,500 kids, a bunch of different buildings. So there could be a bunch of opportunities. Now, you know, I already kind of shared the barriers before, but
Absolutely.
I think first starting with thinking about what you offer, what you can do, how you can do it, and the value, and build the value up and let the school leaders see that. And how do we make that connection so we can get them some modernized things that they may need?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that collaboration is going to be huge moving forward for us. There's a lot of opportunity out there, and we're continuously just trying to learn ourselves. Some of what you see here is our work that we've done at others, at school systems around Rochester, where we're trying to look at their spaces and how do we better design for that learning environment.
Gotcha.
And not every place is the same. You know, some,
of course.
Right? So some have limited spaces, some have limited budgets. So how do we work with what we have to create something that'll be functional for years to come?
So interesting. Is this a classroom?
This
is
no, this is actually a calm room. A lot of mental health focus has been put into the education system.
So restorative type of,
Yeah.
and when they got in, so as high school I see.
Yeah.
So if it's a high school, it's when they got in trouble, instead of them going to in-school suspension or getting in trouble, they're telling them to do something to calm down, like reflection.
Reflection time. So there's different, this is actually one and the same, just different ways of laying out depending on the need, right? What are you trying to accomplish with this type of setup?
So do you guys ever create like flexible seating classrooms with like all different types of interesting, because a lot of the schools that I've ran or started are all boys schools. So I'm in the process of opening a school called Green Tech Rochester.
Yeah.
And so we'll need furniture and things like that,
sure,
right?
Sure.
But with that being said, sometimes with all boys, when you have flexible seating or you have other options because they can't sit still or they have other things going on, there's standing options. You know, those are
standing options, sitting
beneficial.
options for movement. There's a whole bunch of different products out there made by various different manufacturers to fit that specific need that you're talking about. And those are things that and when I said education, that's what we're trying to educate on. We're making sure that we're aware and we know what manufacturers are out there to fit the need that's within the school system.
Gotcha. Definitely, I recommend, there's a book called Teaching to the Male Brain, and she talks about some of those things for where you set up classrooms and in the way that you do, especially for all like the males or male brains.
Yeah.
And I know most schools are co-ed, but or incorporating some of that into classrooms. Thinking about often that boys are the ones who are usually getting into
got a lot of energy and
some of the shenanigans outside of girl drama like that.
Sure. Yeah.
If you look at the schools, and I'm sure you're familiar, they're going to say that schools are often comparative to prisons, right? You look at the food, looks like jail food. You look at the structure of the buildings, most of them look like old jails. You look at the furniture, it's like old jails. So what is it that it appears that you guys are trying to reinvent that, and you guys are trying to do something a little bit differently? You know, why is that? And what do you think about like that whole notion, like that whole, because school could be a school to prison pipeline, and often it is, but I think it also starts with the environment that's created. And when I hear you guys doing it, is trying to create a different and a better environment.
Yeah, I think I would agree that, I mean, just coming from my school days, if I had a place that was a little bit more like what we're designing today.
Like bright colors, warm colors, different shapes. I also see things that are aesthetically pleasing. They're modern. It feels good.
You keep the interest, right? You keep the creativity and the collaboration within the school system, and you try to foster that. If you're losing that, and the moment the communication breaks down, or a sense of having a belonging to something, that's when we believe that things start to degrade, and you could go elsewhere, get yourself into trouble, you name it. But at least from a space concept perspective, there's a lot of studies showing that, you know, the bright colors, the breakout spaces, to your point, the sitting versus standing to more movement, all of those things help keep the brain active, and so you're continuously learning.
And I also think if you look good, you feel good, right? And
Absolutely.
so that's something that gets said all over the world. If you look good, you feel good. But the same thing with your house. You know, you want your house to be a serene, tranquil, beautiful place. If even within your budget, whatever you can afford, you want it to be that way. The school should be that way too.
Absolutely.
And kids deserve to go to a school where they have furniture like this, where they have a setting that's tranquil and serene and fitted for learning.
Well, you think about the next steps outside of these years in school system, right? The spaces are now getting built out, so it's more collegiate level, right? So you could start to see yourself moving from the environment that you're in today more into higher education, right? And you're seeing more of those design factors coming in, or the quality, the sitting in something nice, just the appearance overall. It seems like it's setting itself apart, and maybe showing a path forward to have that continuous learning. But yeah, this is what we've been able to put together so far for school systems around, and we've seen a lot of success and happy. We've had some schools poll their students after a renovation, and just getting thumbs up. We haven't personally helped out, but I think that that's something that we want to look at. How do we help start getting polls out there for schools? What do they like? What do they not
probably
like?
be great data for you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great usable data that will influence more people to want to follow your process. So no, I would love to continue and think about how I can help bring this into the charter school world, get them revolutionized and revitalized and all those other good things with new outfits here. And I think what we could do to bridge some of those gaps and partner and open to that. And like I said, one thought is potentially hosting something for leaders here at some point in time. And to come look at it, look at the space, maybe experience what it could look like, and then also, again, their biggest thing is, well, we can't afford this. Right? How do you make it affordable, and what ways do you have, and are you willing to also, Shen, I know the superintendent there, and I know the district well. But how do you make it, affordable for them as well? And if you guys can do those things, I think there's a lot of wins there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the other thing, to your point, bringing leaders in so that they can use and feel the space. that's another thing that with the renovation, our initiative is to open up our space.
Right.
Right. So if there was ever a meeting that you wanted to bring, a meeting of the minds together, you could actually reach out and book this space specifically for you and your meeting. Intivity will be out there. We'll be involved as long as you want us to be involved, but we want to open up our space for
Awesome.
leaders.
No, that's great, and I think that'll be great, and maybe we could do that and try to see what. Now, will your other spaces, like the one in Rochester, will it be similar to this, or?
Yeah, those are also going under renovation at this point as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And where's the one in Rochester located?
No, Rochester? Here.
I heard you say Rochester and East Rochester.
I meant to say East Rochester.
Okay.
Yeah, apologies.
Understand.
Yeah. But yeah, Albany's currently going under renovations at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it probably can help connect you to some of the schools in Albany as well.
Oh, that'd be that'd be great.
I was there for 11 years, so.
Yeah. I'm sure you know a lot of people with Shenandoah and others, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the city school district, just thinking about, and so you have it in your head too, so you understand what you're dealing with. So when you look at their overall budget, they get about $40,000 per child allocated. So the way I get to that number is they have about 20,000 students. Their state per pupil allocation is about 24,000, right? You look at their overall budget is $1 billion. And so when you divide $1 billion by 20,000, first subtracting the money that goes out towards charter schools, because the charter school kids goes for charter school kids, right? You get to the number of about $40,000 per child. Now the charter schools, so with that 40,000, they got their state per pupil and they got other funding sources in there, right? And then charter schools only get 14.3 per child, no other funding.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's wild.
So nothing else. They're getting 58 cents on the dollar. They're saying that the charter school kids are worth 3/5 of a person.
Yeah.
And so, and that's why I accentuate that is such an issue, is that it's because.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just from a funding perspective, how do you continuously build spaces that are going to be evolving in a way to meet the need of students?
So that would be my challenge or charge to you guys, to think about, is there a specific program that you could affordably do to put together for charter schools based on understanding that there is some differentials that would still make sure you guys see a profit, but work with charter schools potentially differently because of that.
Yeah.
And so just thinking about that and what that could look like, because I think that would be attractive to the charter schools if there was a charter school leaders and you were able to say, hey, charter school leaders, this is what we've designed for you because we understand your needs.
Correct.
And here's what it could look like. And I think that's going to make somebody say, oh, well.
Yeah,